everyone? Happy Monday. Hola, familia. How's everybody doing? We're back another week. It was a holiday, Martin Luther King Jr. So we are excited to be here. And welcome to my Mayhem Streamcast. We're off to kick off another week, and I hope everyone is feeling refreshed. I'm your host, Visual Descriptor. For our audio listeners, I'm a female Latina brunette with silver hair in my hair. I've got olive skin, I have brown eyes, and I have a big smile, and I'm wearing some lipstick, and I'm wearing like a purple shirt today, a purple top. So welcome. We're here every week. We want to share powerful stories and experiences. We want to destigmatize and normalize mental health, disability, and the trauma that we all share. This is a place where we share our mayhem. We like to create opportunities through connection and encourage acceptance. And I always like to put a trigger warning and a discretion as we always talk about, well, sometimes we talk about things that are difficult in nature and can be mature. And I always like to stress that these are our opinions and these are our experiences. So thank you, everyone that is here today. I'm excited to get to the chat, but it's always more important for me to get our guests out before we do that and welcome them. But first, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm DJ. Please make sure you're subscribed. You're following me on Twitch. I'm streaming to Twitch. Hi, Twitch. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. We love our LinkedIn friends, colleagues, and our fellow professionals. And if anyone's interested in live streaming or needs assistance, please reach out. And we've got someone that's like way more advanced than I can ever imagine. And I'm probably going to try to get some tips from them too. So make my stream a little bit better and my home studio a little bit better. So thank you again to Restream OI for powering this live. As we're excited to get going. So let's go ahead and get ready to bring out our guest. Super excited to bring him out. We're going to talk about some really kind of fun things because it's National Hobby Month, and he's the master that loves to talk about hacks and hobbies. And if you haven't listened to his podcast, you should. So much to learn. I know we're going to learn a lot. So he is the leading home studio expert. He's got years of podcasting and filmmaking, and he's also a content marketing coach and YouTube branding coach. And if you don't know Super Junaid, I'm shocked. Everybody knows Super Junaid. He is a big family man and an avid beekeeper. He has his dedicated podcast. I think he's had a few podcasts, so we'll talk about that. But the most one that he's got right now is Hacks and Hobbies. He has a lifetime of UI and UX experience after he moved to the United States, and he found his passion in computers in the early 90s. So he's been doing this for a really long time. You cannot get any better than him. He's very passionate about sharing his problem-solving knowledge that has taken him so far, really, and he's eager to just help others set up their home studios where they can work comfortably and really encourage that family time, taking care of themselves, and of course, taking care of the household. So let's go ahead and get our amazing Super Junaid Ahmed out here as fast as possible. Thank you so much for being here.
DJ, thank you so much for bringing me on. I'm super excited. I love that intro.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, you know, everyone deserves an introduction. You've worked really hard to get to where you're at. You're a true professional at what you do. And I mean, I'm excited to have you here. I know that you've got so much to share, so much to give. And we're going to talk a lot about who you are, where you've come from, and where you're going.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm super excited to share. I love to teach. I love to share everything I learned because, you know, we all come from different experiences, and maybe you'll teach me something that I have never learned before. You know, I think, or there was a book that I was reading, and I think it was not a book, but a masterclass that I watched from our good friend, Bill Nye the Science Guy, and he says, no matter who you meet, you're going to learn something new.
So true. That's so true. I really love listening to other stories and their experiences because you learn so much. Really just being sympathetic, if not empathetic, but at least sympathizing and really understanding what someone's going to bring, what their gifts are. But you got to
Amen.
pay attention, right?
That's right. You do. You have to pay attention to what's going on around you. And I'm paying
Yes.
attention to the screen and seeing all the stream of comments.
I know everybody's here to see you. You've got so many people that really want to hear all about what you're up to and what you're doing. And you're just busy. I know when you're either streaming on Amazon, doing that, or you're getting your podcast together. We all know how much time that takes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just always, and of course, the family and the kids. Got to take care of the family and the kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that's one of the most important reasons, like one of my favorite things about you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've watched you over the last year is you can see your little ones in the background. You know, sometimes you're just so welcoming of their presence. And I even remember that little swing you had there in the background.
Yes. The swing was an awesome addition. They would come here. I'm like, hey, I need a swing too. So now we had two swings back there. And it's that mount up there is strong enough for me to even do some pull-ups. I think I did some pull-ups on one of the streams.
Oh, I must have missed that one. Yeah, but I mean, I think if people go to your website, you've got a lot of photos really that capture what your home studio looks like and where it started and how far it's come.
Yeah. It's been a learning journey, and it's growing every single day, right? It's beautiful.
Yeah. So go ahead.
It's like watching the plants grow, right? When in spring season you planted your tomatoes, you planted your peppers, and then within weeks you see it growing, and you say, "Oh, look, there's a tiny little flower that's becoming a tomato or becoming a pepper," and you see them grow, and you can like literally just sow the seed of your seeds,
I
or
agree.
not reap the fruits of your work. There you go.
Oh, right. Yes. And that's funny because I like to garden, and I know one of your podcasts is about hacks and hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So you're building the home studio, and so I assume this originated because it started as a hobby.
Well,
right?
You tell me where to start. You have a question, and I can go I can go nonstop here, but
No, that's why we're here to go nonstop. I mean, I just want to hear about it. We're pretty conversational, so don't
absolutely.
feel
Okay, cool.
We're going to be like, but it's really just about talking about you and again, your home studio, having a family, and how you keep that work-life balance, how you've made it work for yourself, how you want to help others make it work for them in their career.
Absolutely. So to back up, or just to give a little backstory on where did the podcast came from, or how did I even get into the studio? And it all comes down to solving our own problems. Like anytime we solve our own problems, and we do it in many different ways. And home studio was one way that I was solving my own problem. And these comments are just so amazing. So Tim and Chris and Jenny, I just want to give a shout out because I love you guys, and thank you so much for supporting this live stream and coming and hanging out with us. Juanita, thank you so much. I know I just can't help it. You're throwing them out there.
Look,
I gotta
I throw them up. That way they don't, they're not. But we want to say hi to everybody. We have so many people here. So you're right. This is so different, right? So we're on a live stream, and I know you podcast, which is a little different. I don't ask straight shooting questions.
Right. No
response.
You got me. I got you. So let me just back up and tell you that little story of the podcast. The podcast, I've been a tech enthusiast for a very long time, and back in the days when we used to blog, I had blogs, and I'd follow lots of different blogs, and they were like, "Hey, there's this new thing called podcasting." So in 2012, we had a podcast called "Still Brewing It" because it was three cousin of mine and my cousin, my brother-in-law. we just talk about different ideas, and I'm like, hey, let's podcast. So we ended up with 4 episodes. Long story short, fast forward 2018, I was like, hey, I want to do the podcasting again, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have co-hosts with me to do it. And then it just so happened that I had finished my beekeeping classes, and Gary Vaynerchuk just told me, it's like, dude, just go out and document your journey in his book, Crushing It. When it sounds like I was talking to Gary Vaynerchuk, he told
Yeah,
me, just go, do it, Junaid. Just go document the journey. I'm like, all right, I'll document my journey. And I started to talking to myself about beekeeping, about my woodworking hobby, about my cycling, video production, all these things that I've been doing for the past decades. I just started talking to myself while commuting back and forth from work. I just had to get moving. So that was the initial story of, like, that's how the origin story for the podcast. But as I continued to podcast, I was like, hey, I want to talk and find out if there's other people that are as crazy as I am talking to themselves. And fair enough, and sure. And lo and behold, I found them. I found those people, and I started talking to them and inviting them to the podcast. I still didn't have this look of the studio, which was totally fine because we were doing an audio platform. I got to hone in my skills of interviewing. I got to hone in my ability to talk with people and understand, be an active listener. So that one, it was beautiful. It just helped me grow as a conversationalist, as somebody who is, just somebody who just understands it and gets to talk or gets to speak or converse with other people.
yeah.
It was just beautiful. And thank you, Chris. Thank you.
I know. I'm so happy that you're here. That
No, I'm
setup.
happy to be here too. Thank you so much for
I saw.
inviting me.
Listen, we're here for you. Okay, so I saw this too. Thank you, Tim, for bringing this up. Go, Junaid, working on studio for Travis. So we saw that, seen that little photo somewhere.
So so it was not Travis's studio. It was Travis
Oh,
and I working on a special studio that's going to be revealed pretty soon.
oh, okay, that's great. Well, congratulations on that collaboration.
Thank
That's
you.
always
Yeah, it was
yeah.
so much fun. Got to hang out with Travis in person, IRL hashtag. Right.
That's
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited then for you to share that with when you're ready to release it. I'm really excited. I know everyone else is.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
the studio basically came into being because 2020 we're all working from home. Hi, Alexandria Rosa. We're all working from home, and I got lucky enough to be able to work from home for my job. And as I'm working from home, I was curious. I was like, hey, I've been wanting to set up my studio. I've been wanting to actually forget the studio. I've been wanting to create a course. That was my goal. That was my what's the
Original
thing?
goal.
That was the
Yeah.
original goal. That was the problem that I was trying to solve. Hey, I want a place to shoot video to be able to create my course. But guess what? I had all the equipment. I set up the cameras, and also all I saw was yellow walls. I'm like, okay, this is not gonna work. Thanks, Stefan. This is not gonna work. So let me go and set up the camera in another room. And I saw a lot of people in on LinkedIn were using the vinyl backdrops, and I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. I ended up buying a vinyl backdrop, set it up. The lighting, no, not the lighting. The lighting was great, but the background was like so washed out, and I was like,
Mhm.
can I pull this off? Took me about 2 hours to set up the camera, the lighting, the microphone, and when I hit the record button, I can get anything out. There was nothing coming out. I was like, what am I talking? What am I doing again? Hey, Brian Schulman, so good to see you, man. Uh, I couldn't get anything out. I was like, wait, I'm supposed to be recording, talking about this. So I put all these points up, and Gabe's in the house. I put all these points up. I'm like, okay, there has to be something. And on top of that, I spent hours down here, and my kids come running to me like, "Dad, we're hungry. Why are you playing down here with your toys? Come up here, feed
Right.
us some
As
food."
toys.
Right. So there's so many things that can go wrong. It takes so much time putting stuff together. So that was back in 2018. 2020, I'm working from home. It's like, all right, what is happening? I see Pat Flynn going live streaming every single
Mhm.
day on his platform on YouTube. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. How is he doing this? And all I have is his little tiny webcam from like 2008 or 2002, and I'm like putting it over there, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Now my setup was turned around where these windows were in my background, and the reason I had done that is because there's a little divot back there. It's like, oh, my desk is gonna fit perfectly. It's gonna be out of the way. Not, I can just still use the rest of the room. But in 2020, I changed everything around because we had these windows updated. So there's a ton of things happening, and just started watching and started implementing all of the things that I knew, right? So, um,
That's
getting the
incredible.
lighting, it's so incredible. Just figuring one thing out at a time.
I'm the same way. Like, I
Yeah,
really like to problem solve, and one thing leads to the next. And when you solve one problem, you start to ask another question like, well, what if we tried this? And how
yeah,
can we maybe see if this and this can work? So I definitely have that curiosity that's so
yeah,
important in life to keep that momentum moving forward, to continue
exactly.
to explore new things
Yeah,
and try things, right? Have the courage to try. And if it works,
yeah.
it works. And if it doesn't, then you
You've
just
learned something.
spend time. Yeah, you learn something regardless. But yes, I do feel the same. Then you learn a different, skill or have a different point made. So
Right. A
it's
lot one of the problems that a lot of people face, and even we do, is, dude, come on. Am I gonna be, am I gonna fail? Like, failure is one of the biggest things that we struggle with. And I think it was Steve Harvey was talking about Michael Jordan, and how in one game Michael Jordan took 900 shots. 900 shots to make the basket in one game,
wow.
of which he missed 700 shots. Think about that. He missed 700 shots. If it was you, if it was any normal person, they'd give up. Like, forget this. This is not working for me.
Yeah. I mean, talk about perseverance.
Yes,
Right, right. And having that consistency because it's not easy to get out here week after
it
week,
isn't. No.
fight the technology, fight all these curiosities that you have in making things work and the pressure you put on yourself to do that.
Hmm.
Because for me, I want to excel. You want to do
Yes.
something quality. You want to make sure that it's well thought out,
Yeah.
it's researched, it's done correctly, properly. Now, one of the things that we talked about before is when we're doing stuff like this, you're setting up your technology, you're trying to try these you're trying to try.
You're trying
you're
to try it.
yeah,
Hell yeah, absolutely.
you're trying these new things. You're going to have failures, you're going to have frustrations. There's going to be days where you're just running out to get something extra, right? And I'm
Hmm.
sure you can say, oh, how many times you've had to run out or do like a quick delivery maybe from Amazon that like you need
Hmm.
that ASAP because you can't move forward with that.
Absolutely.
And then, working on one thing can hold up something totally different in the system. And so
Yes.
what we were talking about is you don't realize how all these systems are interconnected, and you have to be careful and you have to be really thorough.
No,
So
100%. You do have to be thorough, and it helps to have people in your team. It helps to have people around you that are in the same vein. And I see Bill Williams. Thank you so much. Um, he's a good friend of mine.
Awesome.
Good. So he's the CEO for the company that I work for on my day job. So he's amazing, putting together some awesome things. But yeah, it really takes a village to, you got to have team around you that's gonna help you grow, right? We've got the Beast Node group family, right? We go there, air out our grievances, air out our problems that we're saying. So then more people has the ability to help together, work together and get a solution in place.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that. And that's something fantastic, really, because as collaborators, having that mentality is going to get you that much more further ahead
Absolutely.
than not. You know, reaching out and having those support systems and knowing who you can go to and and sharing your knowledge, being open
Mm-hmm.
about what you know and how you can contribute to the greater good of,
Yes,
what
yeah,
everyone's trying to accomplish. So I get that. I get that.
100%.
I want to talk a little bit about hobbies real quick.
Just do
Or
it.
because this start as a hobby?
The home
It's
studio started as something that I was solving my own problem, right?
solving
So
your own
I was solving my own problem. I've
right.
been shooting, short films as hobbies, short films and
Okay.
documentaries and commercials and whatnot. So I've been doing like I have a lot of different interests and a lot of different hobbies. So I figure
Okay.
out the technology, I figure out the solution, and I put it all together. So it's kind of, I guess you could say it was kind of like a hobby,
Okay.
helping people set up studios. So initially I was like solving my own problem. And then when
Mhm.
people started seeing me online on Zoom, they're like, "How? What are you doing with your camera? Like, what's happening over here?" It's like I'm just using, normal photography physics around here. You got to have the right amount of lighting, you got to have the right amount of background separation and all of that stuff. So I was just solving a problem for myself.
I guess
And
it
my
would make sense.
yeah,
Like,
so
since
it's
you've already done it professionally on a film set, and
hmm
so you want to keep that caliber, that high quality within your own stream, your own work. So absolutely.
absolutely, yeah,
Okay. So let's talk about the beekeeping, because that was
okay,
the hobbies, and I know it's National Hobby Month, so I wanted to talk about the beekeeping because that's something, another part of me that I really found intriguing about you,
hmm
that you really are passionate about that and you really love to go out there. So tell us a little bit about your bees.
absolutely. So the beekeeping was really a long it it was a culmination of 8 years of thinking about it. Okay, so in 2012, our allergist told us that, hey, get some local honey. It's going to be really good for your son's allergies. Like local honey. All right, put it back in my back of my head
Mhm.
as I'm going around life, and backing projects on Kickstarter. I run into this project called Flow Hive, and I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. It makes it really easy for you to extract honey from a beehive without bothering the bees. Like, this is cool. Around this time, I was also living in Colorado, and a friend of mine, he was like, "Hey, Junaid, do you mind if I borrow your GoPro? I just want to attach it to my forehead, and as I bring in these bees for my farm, my 10-acre farm, I want to just capture that." I'm like, "Absolutely, here you go." So I met with him, and he's like, and I asked him the question, like, "Wait, you're getting bees for the farm? Like, what's the I'm just new to this. So learn about it. He's like, yeah, you just bring the bees. They help pollinate the
Mhm.
yard and the farm and everything. I'm like, okay, and you can rent them. He's like, yeah, you could just rent them. They bring them the whole thing in, and then they just put it in place. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So now I'm collecting all these little pieces and nuggets of information around beekeeping and blah blah blah, and then finally we moved into a place where we had enough backyard space to actually keep the bees. Now, funny thing, you can actually keep bees in a balcony as well because they're not coming inside your house. They just need access to the outside and they need access to a place where they can come and live and store their honey and their larvae and all that stuff. I'm like, okay. So I put all that stuff together. watching all these YouTube videos around beekeeping. And finally, this guy says, well, if you really want to become a beekeeper, you need to contact a local beekeeper association. I'm like, oh, local beekeepers. So I'm putting all this together. I started to reach out. I'm like, okay, who's a local beekeeper here in Virginia? Found the group, went to their meeting, and they're like, hey, there's actually another group that's closer to you, because I drove like 40 miles out just to
Mhm.
meet this first one. I'm like, okay, cool. So I started going to this group, and they're like, hey, Junaid, we're actually launching every spring we have a new course. So there's an 8-week course. You can do the 8-week course. And then this other place that I went, they're like, oh, you come for a weekend for, 8 hours, Saturday, Sunday, and you'll learn everything about beekeeping. But then this guy was saying, you come here for 8 weeks. That way you retain the information better. Your brain is absorbing all the stuff. And as you're going through these lessons, you also get to plan out your backyard. Where are you going to keep the bees? Where's the sun coming? All the angles of the sun. And then so I started going through the process. And then when I started the podcast, I'm recording, or documenting, reiterating that journey, that lessons that I learned. And the more that I learned about bees, the more it made sense on, and it just showed the beauty and the nature of how bees are pre-programmed to take care of each other. If they don't have enough food in the entire hive dies. The entire hive dies. And if there's no room to grow, they leave the hive space. Because as a beekeeper, you're basically you're doing bee husbandry, because almost bees are worker bees or queen bees are all female. Drones are only for the what do you call that? They basically provide the, I can't even remember the name for it, but yeah, you get it.
Yeah, I get it. I just didn't really know any of that. So that's the husbandry, though. That makes me laugh. So, but how? So you don't need a very large space, but you need enough space, and so they
Yes.
really stay true to their colony, huh? Their colony
Yes, so
size.
they stay in the colonies. So I have three colonies in my yard, and each colony has its own queen bee. And then
Mhm.
they'll, and the way I have them set up is they're facing away from my house, so they go out and they come back and bring the pollen from all around. I think they travel up to 3 to 5 miles to get the pollen and everything to feed the colony and
Wow.
collect all the honey.
That's awesome. I just love that. I think it's so cool. There's not very many people, and I know you really like enjoy doing it. And beekeeping is so well,
Nice,
you know,
Alexandria. Yeah.
yeah, with pollinators, and I have a butterfly garden, so I really like
Mm-hmm.
sure that I have the right flowers to attract the right butterflies.
Yeah.
So I know there's so many different kinds of bees and
Mhm.
any pollinators in general. But I found, beekeeping just wow. And you got
No,
the white
so
hat?
I've got the white hat, I got the whole suit, I've got suit for my daughter and my son as well, so they come out and help me. Um, since I've been beekeeping for the past 4 years, so my youngest one was, at that time, was 4 years old, but now he's fitting into the older one, and my youngest daughter, she's fitting in my youngest son's
Yeah.
suit and whatnot. But what's beautiful about bees is that there's about 20,000 species of bees. Now, honeybees are local to um, Europe and Asia and those countries. So they're actually imported to the U.S. The local, or the native pollinators in the U.S. are actually the bumblebee and the ground bees and the carpenter bees and stuff like that. So those are
Yeah.
natural or native to here. And you can almost say that honeybees are more of a domesticated animal And, just like we have cattle, we have cows and whatnot. Honeybees are, very well controlled, well taken care of. It's beautiful.
Wow, I love it that teaching the kids, and again, it's really good for the environment and it really
Yes,
helps. So
absolutely.
that's awesome. My show's a little about mental health and disability and trauma. So I know I had asked you a little bit about like mental health, and you said you had went on a podcast to talk about
Yes.
hobbies. And I'm sure in all the conversations you've had in your podcast, really learning from your own guests, like
Hmm.
what we were saying is you always learn something
Yeah.
from every interview. You're going to learn something, but really just how the hobbies part. And I want to also ask, since your podcast is about life hacks,
Hmm.
you talk about that.
Yeah.
How would you relate that to mental health? And what would you say about how that's related to mental health?
Absolutely. So when you pick up a hobby, and I've got a few, woodworking, cycling, beekeeping, it all they all what these hobbies do is they engage a part of our mind that enables us to be more balanced. Because when we're at work, we're using one side of our mind. We're being analytical, we're being conversational. But when you are picking up a hobby, you get to use your hands. You get to use the other creative side of your brain. It just balances all of it out. And when you're spending time beekeeping or woodworking, what a lot of what you're doing is you're spending time with yourself. When you're spending time with yourself, you're doing working with your hand, your brain opens up to a lot of information, to receiving a lot of love from all over the world. From um
Like relaxing your mind, right? Putting it in
exactly, it relaxes your mind. You're putting good stuff in. Yeah,
because you're doing something you enjoy, something
absolutely.
that can kind of be a release, tension. So I guess that's where you can find that mind expansion.
Yeah, you can. And there are reports, or there's been studies where it's helped people calm down. Because when you're around bees, if you're panicked inside, guess what's going
Mm.
to happen? You're releasing that panic energy. It's going to cause the bees to get panicked and come attack you. So you literally have to calm yourself down when you're around these bees. And then that helps you be a more present person. You're more present, you're controlling, and you're basically building that muscle to be more controlling of your anger, of your own emotions. Because not only are you taking care of yourself, you're taking care of something outside of you.
Yes.
It was a similar feeling I had when my first son was my firstborn, came into the world. And I was like, whoa, I'm responsible for another human being. Get out of here. Get out
Right.
of here.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah.
Right. No, I get it. So it does make sense. I mean, I really understand about having to take care of. And I like what, hi, Cherry. I'm going to pull up Finding Cherry's comment. I really like
Yeah.
that. It says they're a good source of pride. So, in that sense, they make you feel good.
Amen. Absolutely.
You're proud of your garden, or
Mm-hmm.
you're proud of your bees. You're proud of your cycling when you're out there, or when you're done with a race, or when you're
Mm-hmm.
went with your friends, right? And you've completed or you've accomplished something. And it goes back
Yeah.
to even the tech for me. So I come from a social services background,
Mm-hmm.
and the stream started as a hobby, passion project, hobby. It's fun. I'm
Yeah.
curious. I want
Yeah.
to know more. I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and it relaxes me. So I can understand and how it morphs into something more.
Yes.
And I think that that's more people should do that. Allow
Absolutely.
to follow that, to find a, I want to say maybe just like a clearer sense of purpose, because I think
Yeah.
once we go into our hobbies, but I don't know. I guess I've never really studied the art of hobbies.
Well, there is no art of hobbies, right? Because I think the more I think about it, the more it's about emptying your mind because
Mm.
like for they say journal and podcasts or when you're talking to yourself or you're talking on a conversation, you're emptying that cup. Well, if you want to receive more knowledge, you got to empty that cup. If you have a full cup, guess what? You're going to be you're not going to feel comfortable. You're not going to there's something there's no release like the word you mentioned earlier, right?
I have a question then.
Hmm.
Should a hobby stay a hobby, or can a hobby become more then?
And hobby can become anything that we want it to be. It depends on, do you really really enjoy doing it, and then can you go out and help people build that hobby, and then is does that hobby have, I'm going to say the word, monetization factor around it.
Yeah,
We
can you
know
make
it,
money out of
right?
it? Can
Be-
you right?
because a ton of people were into esports 10 years ago, but now esports is the same level as NFL. It's the same level as other national football games, and people who have the skills to play these games can actually make a livable income
Mhm.
through that. So, as a beekeeper, can I make a livable income? It's absolutely possible because I can manage 200 hives and sell the honey. I can sell bees. I can sell the queen bee, right? So I know people that do this on a commercial level, right? So they started as a hobby,
Mhm.
but the more you put into it, the more you get out of it because not only are you helping the world, but you're helping keep sane yourself. And I think that's something really huge on mental health because you feel like there's no escape. So we got to find an escape. We got to find a way to find a beautiful place. Thank you, Bill.
Yes. Your friend's got to go. So have a good one, Bill. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate the support.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. And yes, I'm going to be at 1 Million Cups on Wednesday morning. I'm so excited here in our local. Have you heard of 1 Million Cups, Junaid?
I have heard of 1 million cup. Yes.
Yeah, they're amazing. I'm pretty excited to go and participate and present my small business as an entrepreneur.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I guess that just really goes back to what we were talking about is
Hmm.
something that started as a hobby, something I was passionate about, and my curiosity and my desire to grow and
Yeah.
to just know more and just become that much more better at it, crafting my craft.
Crafting the craft. Yes.
But then you just never know where it can actually take you or what it's capable of, how
Exactly.
far. So I think that that's, for me, it has been quite successful, and I've been able to find my way of quote unquote monetizing my hobby, however
Hmm.
you want to
How do you
take
say
that.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, however you look at it, but
Yeah.
the same goes for you, just moving along, following what's presented to you. Does it align with you? Is it good for you and your family? Taking in
Yeah.
all those considerations, right? Because
Absolutely.
I understand, like you have to prioritize things. And I know that that has a lot to do with now, given the situation we're in, where we are working from home and
Hmm.
we have to find ways to maintain boundaries
Yeah.
but still find the balance between everything.
You definitely have to find a balance in everything. And when you're working on things that you're absolutely passionate about, your life is that thing, right? Then you don't need there's no concept of work life balance because that is your life. I know people that want to travel. I ran into this Odyssey camper. He converted his minivan into a camper and to an RV. And in 2020, he traveled to at least 15 different national parks, and because he just lived in his camper, right? He
Yeah.
made that hobby and made it work for himself, right? So it all comes down to how can you, I think the biggest thing is if that hobby can be promoted or can be marketed. I think that's the biggest thing. How many people are you actually touching the lives of? And
Mhm.
is that going to get you to the next level?
Yeah. And it's all those other components we always talk about, right? Consistency, making sure that, you're at least putting in your best effort given. So
Yes,
it's not really going to work if you're not giving it your all. It's just,
absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it could be a small hobby, and that's a
Yeah.
little different. I think when you talk about the caliber, about maybe having something like more passive, but if you
Right.
have a hobby that might be a lot more interactive,
Hmm.
like cycling, right? Or a sport that is, you go and maybe you're active in martial arts or something like that.
Yes.
I guess it depends, but
It does depend on the hobby, and sometimes you just want the hobby to remain a hobby because you don't want it to be a burden. You don't want to start hating that hobby, right? So you want to
right,
keep
that
it
was
at
that
that
question.
level. Yeah.
Yeah, like should a hobby remain a hobby or can a
Right.
hobby become more? And
Yeah.
that's a personal question. I mean,
Right.
obviously that's rhetorical and it's not really meant to be answered by you specifically, but it's for you to determine like
Right.
something that fulfills you and you can use it to give up to others and help others. And for you, it's problem solving. And I'm the same way. I like to assist others. I want to help other creators. I want to help other people find their voice, find their space to find
Yes.
opportunity. So I find that very
Absolutely.
empowering.
Me too.
You
Me too as well.
Yeah. But I'm like, you know,
And
go ahead.
I think we're here to help tell people that it's okay to show up with whatever is on your mind, right?
Yeah.
We're giving you permission to do what you love to do. How's that?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can show up in the dark with a campfire light, like Usama when he first started streaming. Like he
Yeah,
literally had like campfire lighting. It seemed one camera, and he's grown, so he took that
absolutely.
initial first step, put himself out there, and he's grown,
Oh
and
yeah,
he's found
absolutely.
so much support.
I can't wait to be on his show. I think we have one scheduled for
Oh,
in 2 weeks or something.
yeah, he's fantastic. The way he presents his information, but really, it's just putting yourself out there, and it really is just
I
about.
got a I got a special guest. Hold on.
Yeah, bring him out. I love it. Yes, this is what being a dad's all about. This is great. And I like all the toys. Oh goodness. He's got the setup. Oh.
Microphone. Right, say hi. Tell him about Mr. What's that thing you were watching? Daniel Tiger. Say hi. Oh, you want to see the little fox? Look at that silver fox. Is that cute? Is it pretty?
Aw, cutie. That's adorable. But yeah, I mean, this is what it's all about,
That's
finding
right.
the balance, doing what you need to do.
Okay, give me 5 minutes, okay? Yeah, we will. But look, there's Miss DJ's saying something.
I like your apple. I like your apple.
I love apples.
You
Love
love
apple too.
apples. They're so yummy and healthy.
Right?
They're
She's
so
asking you something.
Oh, don't worry.
All right,
Nancy.
yeah.
Up Nancy. Oh, there we go.
Hey, Nancy.
What's going on? But yeah, I mean, this is what I mean. Like my dog came through here. The door flew open a little bit ago. Either you hit me. I mean, that's just the way it goes. And I think
It
that's
is,
so
yeah.
nowadays that you're just like everyone's like, oh, how cute your little one, whether it's a pet or a child or it just
It's part
becomes
of life, right? It's part of life now.
Oh gosh, yeah. And I think if it seems too perfect, then now you start
Mhm.
to think it's not real, right?
Like,
I think
yeah,
now I
we're
think
bringing the humanity back into it, right?
yeah,
That's the most important thing.
those unexpected moments really
Yes.
make it back on. Put it back on.
She got something back on the phone. She figured
That's
it out.
great. But it's true. I mean, if things like this don't happen and it's too polished,
Mhm.
we're not relatable. We
Right.
may think that, well, I can't do that then, or well,
Mhm.
I'm scared that my kid's gonna come in if our
Right.
streets look too perfect, or if
Right.
things going just right. And no, things are actually falling apart behind the scenes at any given
Yes.
moment.
Absolutely, 100%. Behind this monitor setup, there's a nest of wires that maybe there's some birds living back there because it's it's pretty crazy back there.
Oh my goodness. That's fantastic. But I mean, absolutely. That's just the way it goes. Trial and
Yeah,
error and making whatever we have work for us, whatever tools we have to really accomplish the mission.
yeah,
The purpose is what's important. The message is what's important.
yeah.
Of course, we want quality audio. Of
Yes.
course, we want quality visuals.
Mhm.
But at the same time, what's the point in having quality audio and quality visuals if you don't have a quality message?
You gotta have the message, that's the first thing, and the only way to work on that message is to get started, right? Get started, and that's gonna help you build that muscle. In 2016, I was fortunate enough to fortunate enough to join Toastmasters Club, and they would meet twice a week, and that helped me to really work on my speaking skills. Work on, hey, how to deliver a message. But I didn't really have a message back then. But then when I started talking to people on my podcast, I started listening to their stories. It's like reading 200 books, right? When you put a lot of good stuff in your head, what's going to come out?
Yeah.
Just stuff's going to come out.
I didn't know you were a Toastmaster.
Well, I did it for like a year, maybe 2 years. I'm not active, but I still
Nice.
take those values. I still take those messages that they teach me. Every time I'm talking and I'm listening to people, I'm like counting on my hand.
Oh my gosh. Me too. Well, I'm an active Toastmaster. And
Yeah.
I do the district podcast actually.
Mhm.
So again, something that started as fun. Let me just do it to see what happens.
Yeah.
I think I have a decent message. There's something I want to share.
Yeah.
I'm going to work on polishing it. What can I do to improve myself?
Exactly.
So, Toastmasters was one of those things that I kind of leaned into to help me with my communication, to help me
Mhm.
with my presentation, to help me with the conversation and the flow. Now they just took me and there's like, well, you're going to do our podcast and you're going to be on our conference, where you're going to be part of our conference and our
Oh, yeah.
PR public relations. And so it's just pushed me further than I ever could have thought possible. But again, it's because
Yes.
I'm making decisions that are good for me, for my goals, and they align with my purpose. If they
Yeah.
don't align with my purpose and my message, I'm going to give it a second thought. I might have to come
Exactly.
back to it
Yeah.
and then put it in the back of my mind, because it's never a hard no. You always want
Yeah.
to be open to things, but you just never really know. And it does take time to gather all the pieces
It
sometimes. Like
does. Yeah.
for your beekeeping, it takes time to really figure out things. What's going to really be tried and true to you and sustainable to you.
Mhm.
So I like this
100%.
question about bees in the studio. No bees in the studio.
Well, what's funny is I met one of the beekeepers. He actually had a beehive inside his kitchen.
Hmm.
Had little clear plate, clear glass on either side, and it was next to the wall, and there was a little pipe going to the outside. So the bees are still going outside, but you can see all the work that they're doing right hanging out in your window in your inside the house. That was really cool to experience. So
Wow.
maybe that's something that we can add on in in the next year. You got a
Well,
window right here, maybe a wall mounted beehive, and then
here
don't
we
let them
go.
escape.
Never know, never know. Let me see. I think that's great. Thank you, Charlie, for your comment. Wow, tell him.
Hey Charlie,
That's
thanks.
funny. Thank you so much, Charlie. I don't know. I don't know if Jenny's tagging Rest Johns, but if Rest Johns are here, thanks for popping through. That's great. The support's always great. I mean, we're coming out here. We do this because we want to be here. We want to help others. We have messages we want to share.
Yeah.
We want to make ourselves available. I know we want to empower others to pursue those hobbies, find those life hacks,
Yes.
and not quit. Keep
Don't
going.
quit. Keep going. Find people to run with you. When they do those marathons, when they do the 5K runs, how many people are running out there? A lot. And you'll find somebody that's just hanging out with you, running like, let's keep going, dude. And that's what we need in our lives. If you're starting a hobby, if you're trying to get something started, find people around you that are gonna get you moving and get you motivated and get you keep moving forward in that space.
Yes, absolutely. I think I talk about support every week just because of the mental health, disability, and trauma component.
Yeah,
But really, that just goes in life in general.
it
It's
does. Yeah,
you needed the support group to keep you moving forward. So we're going to
absolutely.
start wrapping it up super soon, and I know it's been a long day for you, so we're going to try to close it up here soon. I want everyone to know exactly how they can find you, get a hold of you, your new projects that you're going to be working on.
Mhm.
And I know you're just really excited about what you got moving forward. So Hacks and Hobbies is the podcast you have right now.
Yep.
How long have you been doing that for?
So I started this back in 2018
Mhm.
springtime, and right after I finished the beekeeping class, I'm like, let's do a podcast.
Nice. And you just rolled with it. But
Mhm.
that I found that it says it's the walkthrough of journeys of entrepreneurs who are helping thousands to redefine what success looks like. So I
Yes,
love that. So your website's hacksandhobbies.com.
correct, for the podcast. Yes.
Yes. And you have yours at superjunaid.com.
Yes. So superjunaid.com is a blog that I've had for the past since 2006, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very long time. So I'll post every once in a while a
Okay.
blog post around different things that are going on in my life. A
Nice.
post that I really loved was around communities. And if you think about it, we find different communities based on the hobby that we're in at a certain point. Like if you're in gaming, if you're in VR, you would be in a VR community, in a virtual reality community, in a gaming community where you come together and play. So I think communities are really important, and working on that side to come along and tell a more wholesome story of who Junaid is.
Good. All right. I love that. And so what you're really currently working on is the home studio.
That's right. Home
This is
Studio
the big.
Mastery.
Okay. Tell
Home
us all
Studio
about.
Mastery. Yeah, tell you all about it. Okay, so as I was able to put this home studio together, it's been, I can't even believe this. It's 18 to 20 months now, almost coming to a year since I started that journey. And people start telling me, hey, you should be teaching people how to do this. I'm like,
Mhm.
really? Is anybody going to be interested in this? Like, I don't know. I just did this for myself. I mean, and they're like, no, absolutely. People are looking for this. So I was like, sure. So about a year ago, I started putting Home Studio Mastery together and putting all the information on it. And coming next month, February 7th, we're launching a home studio rehab challenge. It's a 5-day challenge where you get to talk about all of the things that you need to rehabilitate your home studio. It's gonna be
Awesome.
super exciting. I'm gonna talk about all the things that I did and what you can do to upgrade and level up your studio. And I want to shout out to Steve Worthy. Thank you so much for jumping on my YouTube.
Yes. Steve
It was
Worthy.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for showing up for Junaid. I love Restream for the pairing.
Oh
That's
yes,
an
it's
incredible
beautiful.
feature.
It is absolutely amazing.
I mean, that in itself is such a good incentive for any streamer to use Restream.
Yeah.
Because you have that opportunity to reach to more audiences, reach out to individuals that would have not come across your channel.
Exactly.
So since I talk about mental health and
Mhm.
advocacy, and you talk about technology and hobbies and podcasting
Exactly.
and video, so really our audiences wouldn't be the same. But I mean, it's
Right.
just Restream's the
You find
integration.
people together, and there might be something in their mind that I might have answered. I'm like, oh, I was
Yes.
thinking about that. Just like we put away in the back of our heads about beekeeping or about different hobbies and different things that we're doing. Like, oh, I've been thinking about it for a while. I've been noodling on it. Like, I know who to talk to now. Thanks, Stephen.
Yeah, I think
Definitely.
that's important. It's true because you can hear. So I say that about usually about mental health, disability, and stuff. Is we can have the conversation once, all right, and then we can have the conversation again, and then that person goes, and then they hear that kind of conversation somewhere else, right? So the conversation continues to develop over time as you come across these topics, these issues, these conversations. So you really don't know the impact where you're catching someone in that journey of theirs that they're going through. So, I could have someone that may be having some mental health issues or maybe feeling discouraged because they have a disability, but they want a podcast. And this is something that for me is where the perspective, the approach that I want to really come to is how do we make our content more accessible to people who are visually impaired or have hearing impairments? How as creators, it's a lot of work to make sure that it's accessible, but at the same time, it's important, right? So continuing to do what we do and stay in the space that we really enjoy, that really fulfills our heart and is within our true purpose. So
absolutely,
it goes to just finding your way and just listening is always really beneficial because
it is.
Message can come through at any time.
100%. And the more you put information out, the more you speak of something, the more real it becomes because the universe is listening. Come on now. The universe is listening, and I've been listening to the book Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, and I finally finished it. The last chapter was mind blowing, talking about telepathy and all of this stuff, and the mastermind. It was just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, I'm not familiar with that book, but I know those books really do bring a lot of encouragement to really like push you forward and help you along with that, not to lose your way. Let's see. Let me finish up these last couple comments. We're finishing up. It's Alexandria says it's introducing the topic, the idea, then they are more apt and primed to hear it in other places. So I agree. That's why I personally love collaborating with other individuals. Crossing our messages is so important. Really respecting each other's spaces and honoring what other people are doing, how they're contributing to the dignity, the self-worth of others, because what you do is really helping other people find confidence, helping other people find a way to get to where they want, and it really helps them.
100%.
I love your question. Well, let me see if I can pull this up before. What? Hide. Wait.
It showed up.
Okay. Junaid, do you know about the Best Bee Company? They do amazing work with corporations around the country. So
I do not know, but I will look into it.
Yeah. Okay. So I've never, Stefan, let us know more. I'm not familiar. All right. So girl audiobook, think and grow rich. And she speeds it up. I love my audibles and my audiobooks on speed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've been listening to through Audible. Like I was driving back yesterday from New Jersey, and that's what I was listening to. And I didn't think of one at 1.5xing the speed. I just like the way this guy talks because it's a much older book, narrated by somebody. But yeah, that book is awesome. And the beautiful part, I know Brian Schulman was on here earlier, and he's part of these 13 books, right, that he's writing. And they're releasing 13 books, and the books are 13 secrets to happiness, I think. And
Hmm.
there's 13 things. Can't remember the word. I'm out of mind. Thank you,
That's,
Andy.
yeah,
So
no, it's
13
book.
secrets to riches. Yes.
Oh, okay. Secrets to riches. Yeah. I mean, listen, if I had more time to read these amazing books that are recommended, it would be great. But Marcello came in. Marcello, we're closing up, mijo.
Hello. Thank you.
Nos vamos, estamos cerrando. We're closing up shop. So, and I know your little one, your little apple over here wants her daddy. So, all right, everyone, let's go ahead and wrap up. We're going to say our goodbyes to Junaid. Thank you, Junaid, for being here today. I know you're exhausted. You're working so hard. You've got a lot ahead of you, and you've got your home studio mastery.com now. So everyone, please go check it out. It's book a call, sign up, right? There's a wait list. How is that working?
So the wait list is for the course that's coming out.
Okay.
But if you need immediate help right now setting up your studio, then you can go ahead and book a consultation. And if you have any questions, you can always drop me a DM on LinkedIn or on Facebook.
Awesome. Yes. All right. And you're easy to get a hold of. I know that you're really always available. And, you just really, people respect you and look up to you. And you have just great craftsmanship and high quality work. So
appreciate it.
And there's Stefan's comment.
I looked it up. Thank you so much. This is awesome. I'm gonna look more into it, see if they can help me out a little bit.
All right. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you again. Let me go ahead and get my close out with our outro, and we're gonna say goodbye and good night. And thank you, everyone, again. And don't forget to reach out to Junaid for any of your home studio needs.
Or if you just want to kick it,
Or if you're just there you go. Bye.
Bye.